everyone. Anyone wants water? And these are sharp containers. I don't know if you guys are ever in need of them, but they're for, I have a whole bunch of extras, so I brought some in case you need some, you know, around.
Yeah, in our neighborhood, you know.
Yeah. Kind of a thing.
Yeah, we know what happens.
I forget if I met you two before or not.
You have not.
What's your name?
I'm Troy.
Troy? Oh, yes. And
I'm Perna.
hi, Perna. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Where do you guys live about?
I'm at like 100 South.
Oh, cool. You're down that way more. That's cool. We're getting a little spread out of people.
I'm actually not in this neighborhood, but I am here a lot.
Oh, well, that's good.
Nice.
You can be involved in. That's good. Glad people are showing up.
Yeah, so I guess the membership in the community council is open to residents and then employees of businesses, owners of businesses, also even just like landlords who own property in the area. So we want to get everybody involved. And did y'all put your email addresses on there? I did.
And how did you guys hear about us, the meeting?
I don't think where I actually saw
Nextdoor.com, Instagram, Facebook. I might have put it on LinkedIn. And
Facebook, but I don't know if it was probably shared through someone.
Okay, cool.
That's my guess.
Nice. I'm just trying to determine what works best, you know, because this is all new to me in the posting and trying to get people, you know, get it visible out there.
I think I found it just to realize if I wanted to actually talk to people in the community or try to one person, it's hard for one person to get city, workers to do something.
Right.
It's better to just...
It could be a lot of frustration, you know. It's like, we kind of know what that's like. So we got together in a little group and we're trying to make changes in certain, with the River Rock Apartments. I don't know if you're familiar with that place.
Is that the one on 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, 7th South 30th.
It's turning around.
It is. It's been, since July, it's been improving a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, the one that's already
yeah,
built.
no, I walked
Not the, oh yeah.
down.
Yeah,
We live right by there.
It's been open since, it was built in the 1960s.
It's been there forever, yeah.
Yeah, and it used to be a really nice place from what I've heard from people that are older, and then it just slowly went into a decline. It's been really bad for a few years as far as the activity, the drugs. Gang activity is now a big thing. I should talk to you about too. But Stuart might be able to do that more. But yeah, it's like...
I guess I'll put a name tag on.
Yes, I bought these a few months ago for the meetings, and I bring them, and then they don't get much of a.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of power in organizing and having a big collective voice. And this community hasn't had one in a while. To be honest, the Central City Neighborhood Council has existed, but it's been fairly dormant for a while. So we want to bring it back.
So who are you guys then? Are you the de facto neighborhood
chair,
neighborhood community council?
I'm vice chair, Brandy.
23. This is only our second meeting, so be patient with us while we figure it all out.
And then he's the
I'm Austin.
behind the scenes.
I'm resident of the neighborhood. Austin Taylor.
He's magic behind things. Oh, I forgot. Are we on? Yes, dude.
Yeah, we are live.
What? It's our first Zoom meeting thing too. Hi, Chris. Hi. Hello. I'm Brandy. Hello, nice to meet you. So excited to meet you. I know who you are. Oh yeah, please do. I'm sorry. I didn't think our meeting would be this big. Our last couple of them was like 3 people, or maybe including us. And if anyone decides they want to look through this, it's just my little city community. You have that face again, that look like something. Okay. Not that, the one from the other day, but you look like.
I have stickers if you guys would like stickers.
Oh yeah.
City
I have a sticker fetish. Thank you. Cool, thank you. Is that the new state flag thing or
City
flag? City flag. Okay, sorry, folks.
So yeah, this is Brandy. She's the vice chair.
Hi, nice to meet everyone again.
So it's just the three of us for right now.
Yeah,
We're hoping
we need people
grow.
to run for positions.
But we'll go ahead. I guess we'll just go ahead and get started. So welcome. Thank you for being here. It's really exciting to see this many people.
Yeah, this is like triple our last meeting.
Yeah. So we really wanted to leave this as kind of a meet and greet, kind of a brainstorm session. So I created a survey on, if you want to scan this QR code, we can also put the link in the chat, and just take, I don't know, 5 or 6 questions just about your experience living in Central City, and your responses to that will guide our discussion for later. You can just pass that around.
Okay, I'll try to get the link in the
Oh yeah, let me.
chat.
We should. I have a laminator. We should laminate one of these. Bring to the meetings in the future. If
That's
it.
this one.
Camera cooperates. QR code. Anyone?
And I think Ava and Chris have some updates for us, and Joseph. Joe? Joseph. Okay. So whichever one of you would like to go first.
Oh, okay. Thanks for coming so last minute and doing this. I appreciate it.
Actually, let's give it to
Joe.
Yes, it's guest
talking about
stage.
Oh, yeah.
And then this is
Hello everyone, thanks for having me, I appreciate it. I've been to several community and neighborhood council meetings. Am I meeting these? Yeah, definitely don't want to listen to Elton John right now. Been to a couple of these, not obviously here, I appreciate it. Brandy reached out and asked if I would come, happy to do that. Obviously work right across the street, so this is super convenient.
Hi, welcome.
So I work with Chris on the homeless engagement response team. I am the rapid intervention coordinator for the city. What that means is, it's kind of defined, undefined, but we're kind of defining it as we go along. The city and city council recognize that there is a sort of dearth or a lack of response between what you guys saw, what people living in the city experienced surrounding our homeless population or our unsheltered population, and you send something in on an app, or you make a phone call, and there's no one to really respond, right? You might get a canned response from the app, you might get Chris calling you before Chris's position existed, before some of these other people, but there was no real prompt response that wasn't sort of prepackaged. And so they brought me in 2 weeks. I will have been with the city a year. I come from the East Coast originally. I've worked in social services for a while. I was in the military for a while. I have a lot of just random experiences that I've accumulated over the course of my life that made me a good fit. So I got put on last February. We stood up the city's rapid intervention team in June 6th to be specific. So what the city does when, let's say you call in or respond to a homeless encampment, what the city's going to do is it's going to go to our team. It doesn't go to a robot. It doesn't go sit in a file somewhere. It goes directly to Chris or his counterpart, Rebecca. They will answer you guys and either request more details or say, hey, we got it from here. During our weekly meetings, we prioritize and assess how best to help that particular can. Like today, Chris and Rebecca and I went out and we actually go make contact with folks. That's not in our job description at all, to actually go out and engage with the public, but I can't make informed decisions sitting in the warmth of the CNC building. Yeah. It's a little snobbish to just presume I know what's best for people if I'm sitting in an office. So we go out, So we go out and we talk to people and we see how we can best help them. And we do that. And we assign the outreach team through the city. They will have a period of anywhere of 1 to 3 weeks to provide outreach. At the end of that period of time, or at any time during that period, they tell us, hey, we're not interested, go kick rocks, pound sand, what have you. Then the other side of my job, which nobody likes, myself included, is the rapid intervention team. That's the guys you go in, and we've been making some headlines recently. I promise we haven't thrown anyone in a dumpster. We haven't kicked anyone up in a tent. Those are just patent falsehoods. I'm there. We have a really, really knowledgeable team that has technical expertise. They would never do that. And besides it being physically impossible. But so that's what we do. We go in and we clean out the camps, and we understand that it's unfortunate for all folks on both sides of the table or both sides of the coin. But it's unfair to you guys, and it's unfair to the community and the taxpayers and the neighbors and the businesses, and I get paid to walk that very razor's edge and make sure that I keep everyone happy and somehow also keep my sanity. And Marie helps me a lot. Detective Stewart helps me a whole bunch. So that's a little bit about what I do for the city. On the plus side of things, the Heart team when I got hired last year was 2 people. Now we're 6. Yeah. So we've grown 300% in a calendar year. So we are making strides to trying to do more. Who has questions?
I love how you're on the website, the Salt Lake City Corporation or whatever .gov, that have your pictures, your names, and your contact info. It's very organized and very transparent. Who you are and what you do.
Yeah.
I like that.
Can you describe and articulate the difference between city response? I think a lot of constituents think that the city's priority is to respond to homelessness. Would you be willing to expand on that? Our partnerships, for example.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So we're actually working on putting this in our next newsletter. So we have essentially what we call a 3-tiered response. So once any report comes in, be it a phone call, something from PD, something from citizens, SLC Mobile, the first thing we're always going to do is verify and assess, or assess and verify, because sometimes you get people who are like, there's a pallet on the ground, and that's not really someone can pick that up. Your neighbor can pick that up. Sometimes you get things like there's a person with a shopping cart. It's minding their own business, and that's really not something we want to deal with. So at a basic level, we're always going to have to take the time to assess a report and verify that it's something that we need to deal with. Then the city works with a certified cleaning contractor called Abandoned Services. They only hire either currently or formerly homeless people themselves. So it's a really great program that helps lift people out of homelessness and out of poverty. That's always going to be our first response, is to send Advantage out. They're going to go ahead and they're going to clean. They have the necessary certifications for bio-waste, medical hazard, infectious waste, so blood, needles, and poop. Not to be crass, but that's what a lot of my life is blood, needles, and poop. And they will go ahead and take care of that if it is something that either they are unable to clean because it's just simply a problem or a camp that's outside the scope of their ability, they don't have the personnel or the equipment. That's when my team steps in, the Rapid Intervention team, and we perform what's called site rehabilitations. We can repair fencing, we can slap some paint up, we can do CPTED, which is crime prevention through environmental design. So we'll move some rocks, we'll help make it less inviting for folks to come back. Right. For example, if you walk through, not the tunnel, although we'll be taking care of that soon, if you walk through certain areas in Hidden Hollow, rocks have been very strategically placed to make it less inviting for camps to come back. That's an actual urban degree you can get, or advanced degree you can get, is in CPTED, crime prevention through environmental design. It's a cool CPTED. So at a second level, we have site rehabilitations, and at this sort of big, oh my God, this is beyond the city's control, what are we going to do? That's when we have full-blown encampment impact mitigations, formerly known as abatements. We don't like the word abatements. Abatements are what you do to invasive species of bugs or weeds, and that's not how we want to look at people. And I don't say that because it's the tagline, it's the human thing to do. It's not consider people to be pests, regardless of their socioeconomic status. Yeah. So then at the highest level, we have joint partnerships with the county, our city, and if need to be other assets, UDOT, UHP, UTA, Union Pacific, private-public partnerships.
Do you work with the health department, like Dale still, or do you guys do that?
So Dale is... Okay. Dale doesn't go out on the street anymore. He's, since transcended that. He's up way in the upper echelons now. But Brooke is the woman's name, Brooke Grundy. She's a very nice lady who is very new to the job. And we hit her with the ground running. We're like, hey, Brooke, figure it out. So at the highest level, we sort of have that tiered response. So advanced services way down here. Anything as simple as picking up needles, picking up poop, abandoned trash cans, carts, things like that. Next level would be the Rapid Intervention team. We can decommission structures. We have light equipment, not light to medium equipment. And then the highest level we would have is a full EIM with the county, and we do it whatever is necessary until the job gets done. That's when you see the big bulldozers, the big 10-wheeler dump trucks, things of that nature. Anything higher than that is above my pay grade, frankly. I can tell you what happens higher than that. A big part of what I do is to help bring all these cooperating partners together. Like I said, I'm the Rapid Intervention Coordinator. A ton of my job is actual coordination. is talking to these other city, county, and in some cases state entities and providing them with a little on-the-ground know-how of what we're doing. Because it's easy to call in the State Highway Patrol and say, hey, this is your problem. But they don't know that, and I can't say names, but they don't know that this particular individual has a schizophrenia problem. They don't know that this individual is a victim of domestic violence, and they don't want men talking to them. And so I get paid to do both.
You personalize it.
I do my best, as best we can. That's not to say that I'm a guru or I'm a panacea. I can't fix all of it. I can't, but everyone on our team, on the Heart team, works really flipping hard to make sure that we treat people like people first and foremost, regardless of how much tax you pay or not. And, also to understand that there isn't a very, very delicate balance. Yeah. I get screamed at every single day by someone who feels like we're not doing enough, and I'm a liberal, and I'm this, and I have to be, but that's neither here nor there. I'm a liberal, and I'm this, and I'm that, and then if I move people, or we decide, hey, we do have to clean up this encampment, then we're tyrants, and we're despots, and, this would not happen. So we can't make everyone happy. But the best thing that I can try to do, and part of the reason that I'm here, and Chris, and other representatives of the city, is we're just people, guys. We're just people. We're not infallible. We're not omnipotent. Like, we do our damnedest, and we do our best every single day. And some days, I will admit that I could do more, and some days, I go home to my wife and my dogs, and I'm hysterically crying, like, this was a horrible day. But there's always another day to kind of get the job done.
You guys did a great job, but you've had a rough season last with people passing away, this winter and everything.
The market does not create affordable housing, and when 85% of the legislators are sort of in the real estate development game, well, we won't talk politics. That being said, I want to give you guys as much time as I can, but I do have 3 dogs at home. Who has questions? Who has questions? Who wants to know things? Who feels like there's more I can give you? Yes.
What could an average person in the neighborhood do to use services, what you do, the most effectively and not,
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll speak to that right now. SLC Mobile. Now that's the app that we're going through the most, and some might change, but we're not there. Yeah. But SLC Mobile. You get on there. If you have an account on there, just use an email ad to start it, and anything that is any report you send in that's concerns regarding homelessness, that's the one the tag you want to start the report on.
If you guys
that will go to the Heart team directly, and you can take pictures on there, you can type up as much as you need to explain your situation, what you're seeing, all that kind of stuff. It also has, you drop a pin on your map, so you can tell exactly where this is at, and it allows us to analyze the entire situation and get the right people over there to help. So.
Are you guys 24 hours a day, or is there a time limit, or is there one person that does it 24 hours a day, or how does that work?
We respond to them usually during normal business hours.
Yeah,
but
they go through
a queue.
So you can submit them any hour.
You can submit them any time. We just start checking them out the next morning.
So the automated message that comes a few seconds after, that's the system.
Automated, built into the app.
But then you get those, and then you start working.
We get those and start working with them right after.
Okay.
It goes to a person. So to answer your question, SLC Mobile, that one, it just helps us sort of filter through the queue of what's real and what's has veracity and what doesn't. Mm-hmm. It also, when we go to the state every year and ask for money, we can say, hey, last year we had 6,800 requests, or 7,000 requests, and it sort of helps lend truth to what we're saying. We're not just pulling these numbers out of the air. So when everyone goes, why do you need more money, or why do you need more money year after year, it's like, well, the problem's growing. And it's a bit of a chicken and an egg, don't get me wrong. Do we have a bigger problem because we have more resources to deal with it? Or do we have more resources and the problem sort of follows it? I don't know. I don't have the degree in that sort of thing. I'm just here trying to help. But the other thing I would say that is really helpful, can be really helpful, volunteer what you have. Volunteer your time. Volunteer your know-how. Volunteer your expertise. You might know something you don't even think you know. And hey, I could teach someone how to do this. And whether that's at a community council, we hold resource fairs, every month?
Every month.
Every third or fourth week, we hold a resource fair. I think, where's the next one?
The next one's going to be Library Square. And
so right here. February 10th?
2 weeks from this Friday.
Yeah, and there will be a ton of service providers there. People giving out socks, clothes, Utah Naloxone, employment opportunities for these folks. So spread awareness is a great thing. The other thing that really, really helps us, we're very good at our job. Not amazing, not perfect, but we're very good at it. What we often bump up against really sort of hurts more than it helps is people who can't maintain composure, and I get it. I get that you've been emailing and submitting SLC mobile requests, and I get that you feel unheard. And so 99% of the people who have never met myself or Chris or me or other people, we're just like government ethereal like sector. It's like they don't care, government. Rah! I get that. I also went to college. I get being an angry so damn the system and through the world sort of thing. But we're real people, and we're doing our best every single day. Almost no one on our team takes time off. Ever, to the point where our bosses make us take time off because we will burn out. And so just maybe when not you guys, I'm going to assume that we're all well thought out, well-intentioned people here, but maybe when you do see some of your neighbors who are hooting and hollering and want to say screw it and do something either detrimental to a homeless person or harmful to themselves or harmful to someone else, just talk to them. Just say, hey, it's not that bad, like you're taking this way too personally, because that's a lot of what we do, is talking people off the metaphorical edge when they're like, and I can't name names, but like last summer we had a group of people who wanted to form an armed militia and go patrol the Jordan River and literally like hunt unsheltered people on the Jordan River. That took I know, sounds preposterous. It was to me too, until people really started arming themselves for it. And we had to, sort of de-escalate that. And it was our fault in certain ways for not having our finger on the pulse and seeing it coming ahead of time.
Yeah.
And I'll say that for me. I won't say it was the city's fault or anyone else's fault. You can't control what people do. But things like that. Talk to your neighbors.
I have a question that ties into that's kind of disturbing, though.
Sure.
All the people, what I've heard in certain media is that there are a lot of people that turned up, unsheltered people, dead around the Jordan River. Is that a rumor? Is that a fable? Is that true? How many people have passed away? I know it's something. So yeah.
What time period are you talking about?
You know what she's talking
about. Yeah, you do.
Everyone
last
has
couple of years.
And heard about them. The mysterious.
Are you talking about the serial killer in Salt Lake who's allegedly targeting homeless people, or are you talking about people freezing to death?
Oh, not freezing to death. The people dying or like being killed by the Jordan River. People say, my friend died.
That's 100% unfounded.
It is. There's no documentation of the Really?
Okay. I even asked our homicide team, and they were like, absolutely not. There's maybe one person who was killed, and it was tied to that area. Like, we do find bodies in the Jordan River from time to time, but it's not necessarily that they were killed there or even that they're homeless at all.
But there's no, rapid murderous thing going on. Okay.
No. We heard that last summer as well about someone going out and I forget the word they used, but basically making a specter, too many words today, guys. Making a spectacle of it and making it like no, there's nothing like that. It's completely false. I think what Detective Oliver said, there's been like 3 bodies in the river in the last 5 years.
So it's getting embellished.
And two of them drowned, unfortunately. Okay. Like there's no mass murder, hunting the homeless. I think if 60 people fell off, whatever number they claimed, fell off the face of the earth, even in that population, we would know. We're out there all the time. They have caseworkers. They have case managers. If these people started disappearing, it would be national news and the FBI would be here before you would know it.
There actually was someone in Ogden that was targeting homeless people.
Really?
And him and his buddies started by just wanting to beat people up. So they would go to homeless encampments and beat people up. And it turned homicidal, and they had actually killed 3 people. But it was all up in Ogden before they were caught, and they were caught. So it's not solved.
Yeah. What else? Other ways? Other questions? I am a very open book. You're not going to offend me with anything you ask, and there's no dumb question. Yes.
Is there any way a common citizen can help the homeless by giving them a warm place to sit? I was thinking if they were already vetted people, that you could just say, I have a home that people can come to, and or is that crazy at all?
No. So that's been tried. What you're talking about essentially is opening the safety and security of your home to folks that are unknown. And I don't know if you can hear Detective Stewart over my shoulder here, but she would not recommend that. Someone tried that with the best of intentions before my time at the city, and they essentially turned their property into a makeshift camp. Two major problems with that. One, it's against city code, civil enforcement. You have 10 days to allow someone to camp on your property, and after that 10th day, you're going to start getting fined pretty heavily by the city, and they're not going to stop until you remedy and rectify the actions. That's city ordinance. The other part of it is, I get being well-intentioned, I get being big-hearted. It should not come at the expense of your safety in your life, and you don't always know what you're bringing home. It's like, go ahead.
We had a lady who let a guy come in and shower, and he slit her throat.
Oh my gosh. So if you're going to give someone something, take it out to them,
And so There are beds at the shelter, and there are showers at weekend at St. Vinny's.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I have listened long enough, and y'all have called me a liar on this call. And now you want to talk about resources that are not actually available. My name is Wendy Garvin. I'm the leader of the Second and Second Coalition, which is open the First United Methodist Church. And I am really immediately would like to cover the fact that I'm personally offended that you came to this meeting and called me a liar. I am the person who interviewed the young lady who says that she was picked up by a bulldozer. The city did not offer me any resources to verify that information. I asked the PD, I asked the city, they did not tell me that they would not give me access to cameras or footage that could verify her claims. So I did go to the press about it. It is not a falsehood. Nobody has shown me any of this camera footage to prove whether it did or did not happen. So first of all, let's not go around calling people liars. It's pretty offensive. Second of all, there are not beds at the shelter. That is a flat lie. We would not be getting full overflowing people in the First United Methodist Church every night if there were beds available in the shelter, and there would not be hundreds of people camping on the streets if there were beds available in the shelter. So I really wish that you come to these meetings and tell the truth.
Hey Wendy, it's Joe from the Heart Team here. I'd love to have this conversation with you in person. I will be in the office all day tomorrow. I think you have a number if you want Michelle and Allison access to it. If you want to shoot me a call tomorrow, that would be great. I really don't want to use this as a sounding board or a forum for sort of airing personal or professional business.
Well, you started in this public forum by calling me a liar, so I really think that maybe you should take responsibility for that and not put that back on me. I would be more than happy to follow up with you, but I have already followed up with all of your bosses. I spoke with Rachel Otto about this today. The issue is not resolved, and you should not be going around telling people that I'm telling lies until there's actual evidence one way or the other to prove it. Just to the lady who I could not see on this side of I have had homeless people live in my house. I also cannot recommend it. I have had no actual problems with it, but I have heard stories. I don't think that, I think that most of the people who are living on the street have some issues, and that is why they're on the street. I have a fair amount of experience and have been successful in dealing with it, but I also would never, ever, ever want to be the person recommending that as a solution. The correct solution is that the city needs to stop putting money into all of these enforcement methods, and they need to put money into getting people inside. If these folks actually had beds at the shelter, because they do come every single time we open, if there were actually beds available at the shelter, then those folks would be inside, and we would not have to bulldoze them, and we would not have to continue to hire more and more and more teams to enforce punitive actions against a population that's already horrifically marginalized.
You and I are of a like mind on that, Wendy.
We need to introduce the Second and Second Coalition and talk to y'all about the church and see if you guys had any concerns. I'm really sorry. I did not come here for this, but
You did.
I really feel like there were enough lies told by the city that I could not stay silent any longer. And I really apologize, and I agree we should no longer take this forum to finish this, but it is simply not true that there are beds available. I challenge you. 801-990-9999. Call them and ask them if there's a bed available tonight. I challenge you to do that. I ask you to do it every single day so that you can challenge the city when they tell you that there are resources available that are not available.
Is there a dashboard still where you can see the numbers every night? Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Hey, Wendy. Hey, Wendy. I really don't want this to devolve, and I only have a few minutes left before I have to go take care of my pets. So I want to try to get to everyone's questions. Please do call me tomorrow. I'd be happy to talk this through with you. Yes, sir.
Right.
Representative Briscoe, are the shelters flexing now?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Flexing?
Yeah.
So shelters per a certain agreement or land agreement, they can only put X amount of people into the shelter, like fire code, etc. Back in Eva, can you tell me when the flex up was?
I mean, we approved it in December, and then they were waiting for staffing. So my understanding is, as of yesterday from Andrew Johnston, is that we are still looking for staff.
Okay, so they have the capacity to flex.
This is
looking for
Mill
staff.
Creek. This is Salt Lake City. This is South Salt Lake. So not all. It's not just contingent on Salt Lake City staffing.
The Geraldine E. King and the other shelter inside Salt Lake City, how many more people can they add? Assuming they have staff.
50%.
50 additional.
That's aspirational, correct?
Yes, sir. Based on staffing to do it, a lot of people I know on my team and others have been volunteering their time to help staff that up. But no, they're not staffed to the point where they can fit that full capacity and do it safely.
So how many do we have staff to do?
That's the service providers. We don't oversee staffing, so I don't know the numbers.
City doesn't answer for everyone. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah.
So, are all the shelters, they have extra beds? Is the mayor's emergency
Yes.
thing?
Per Mayor Mendenhall's emergency declaration or enactment of powers, they have the ability to flex up 50 per shelter, so I believe that's 150 within the city, confines of Salt Lake City, as well as Mill Creek, whatever their capacity or expanded capacity is. However, that is entirely contingent upon being able to staff that many people, because you can't put another 50 people in there without adequate staffing.
Right.
It's a recipe for a disaster. I think we'd all agree.
That was one of the problems of the road home.
Exactly.
So what,
Yes, sir.
what have you encountered in terms of whether areas or opportunities to get the staffing, right? Because if staffing is going to be an issue, then it's really not an option.
They're hiring, so if you're asking what can you do to help, they desperately need people to work.
And they'll pay you?
Second shift, third shift, swing shift, overnight.
Volunteer, whatever it is, they
Outside of
desperately
volunteers, what are the?
It's through VOA, through Volunteers of America. I think it's their website is voautah.org. You can apply, and I think you can specify if you'd like to be a full-time employee, a volunteer, sort of temp employee under this. I think it's like $16.50 an hour, and if most people who do this, they don't do it for the money they're doing because it's the right thing to do and they want to help. But yeah, they're always looking for staff. I mean, I tell you, Michelle Hoon, who runs Chris and I's team, and Allison, who's Chris's boss, they volunteered their time last night to help get the city rec center warm shelter that was open sort of on the fly. So they went and did a 12-hour shift last night and then worked a full day today. So we're getting everything we got, folks.
You can help me clarify. So that's for the emergency shelters, right, that are popping up?
That's for the current shelters that exist so they can operate with increased capacity.
Okay.
We have the legal authority, they have the legal ability to operate with increased capacity, provided they can meet their staff needs. So through VOA, if you were to be interested in volunteering or being a paid employee, that's your prerogative, that would then allow them, which be you, it would be several of us, but that would then allow them to say, oh, we have 4 more people, we can accommodate 20 more beds. We have 5 more staff members, we can accommodate 25 more beds. Whatever ratio that they have to stay compliant.
Last follow-up question, is the VOA the only staffing strategy?
For now, I mean, VOA is the contracted.
So the city doesn't provide services, we contract out.
Yeah, thank you.
And then I did want to expand on partnerships because I think there's a lot of emphasis on the city being in control. There is a coalition called the Salt Lake Valley Coalition to End Homelessness that designs this impact plan in function with the city, the county, and the state because they have the larger budgets. We've completely utilized our full functioning budget, and we're not the health. We're not the health department. This is what I was trying to get to, and Joe expanded.
So yeah, continuum of care stuff.
Yeah.
Do you want me to jump into that?
I think it's important.
Yeah. So
in
order to receive any money from the federal government, which the only way you're going to ever make a dent in unsheltered homelessness is by getting federal dollars, right? We can all agree on that. The only way to do that is to establish what's called a continuum of care, or a COC. It's a geographical area designated by HUD, Housing and Urban Development, that states, or it's a geographical area that sort of defines the boundaries of, okay, for this, let's say we had us, and we were the Salt Lake Valley Coalition to End Homelessness. It's a mouthful. We would be the governing board of the coalition, and we would operate a continuum of care that covers the Salt Lake Valley. They hold all the purse strings, more or less, essentially, and they dictate, to Ava's point, they dictate, hey, we can have this many things here, this many resources here, this many resources here. The city does not act autonomous or, as a standalone entity within that continuum of care. We have structures and regulations that we have to adhere to and guidelines we have to follow if we want to see $1 from the federal money. And that is all set up and orchestrated by the Salt Lake Valley Coalition to End Homelessness. Hope that helps. And then that trickles down, and then they sort of create the models and the modalities under which we can operate, and then we do our best to follow those guidelines. It's convoluted, I know. Other questions? Yeah, the city doesn't stand alone and go, Mayor Mendenhall or any of your local representatives can't just go, hey, this is what we're doing because wave a magic wand. We all know it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. Although sometimes I wish it could.
we have our point and count time, our point and time count done yet?
Yes, sir. We all just did that last week. That was this past Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. So we just finished that a little under a week ago.
We totaled everything up?
We are not allowed access to that data. Only the Salt Lake Valley Coalition, etc., has access to that data.
One of the things, in order to get federal money every January, you do a point in time count, and you go out and go to Jordan River and the foothills and the alleys and all the places that we know people have camped in the past or are camping, and count. And that's one of the prerequisites required by the feds to disperse funds.
Mm-hmm. So we just did that, essentially a census. They divide the city, they divide the whole country really, but specific to Salt Lake, into census tracts. And you go out in groups of anywhere from 2 to 5, from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Like I said, we did it last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday mornings this past week. And you just go out and talk to people, and you have a little app on your phone, and you basically do our best to engage with as many folks as we can. The logic behind that is if they're camping outside in the dead of winter, those are the people who are probably your most hardcore campers, and they probably could use our help the most. It's also a good point in time, literally just a snapshot of who's on the streets at any given time. It's not meant to be a comprehensive or 30,000 foot view of hey, this is, or excuse me, granular view of this is what's going on. It is a 30,000 foot view of at one time, if we were to look across the whole country, this is a good estimate of what's going on. And so we actually had, I did no part of the planning. I say we, like I could take credit. Last year there was under 200 volunteers. This year I believe we had 384. So we more than doubled the volunteers from last year to this year. So it was really awesome.
Well, thank you for that. I want to keep things moving because we're going to run out of time.
I don't want to take our time. I do have to go.
You have to leave.
Yes,
so.
I have to go take care of my wonderful dogs.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to leave a small stack of my cards here.
Thank you.
If anyone's interested, feel free to take a picture on your phone and then pass them out to anyone else.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
What kind of dogs do you have? I have to know.
I only rescue, so I have a pit bull pointer mix, a pit bull Rottweiler mix, and a pit bull Mastiff mix. I don't know if you guys see a theme there.
Sounds like a handful.
7-year-old female, and then I have a 1-year-old male and an 11-month-old male.
Oh my gosh.
Both of the boys just got spayed, or neutered, not spayed, and they are not happy about it.
That's a shame.
Yes. Thank you guys. Cards are right here. If you need my info, feel free to reach out. Thank you, everyone. I am accessible pretty much all the time.
We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, should we do a quick, just a real...
Yeah, it'd be good. So, if you're fine with me, so it'd be good to get everybody's name and then where you live in Central City or where you work in Central City. So I'm Austin. I live at coordinates-wise, 7th South, 4th East in Central City.
I'm Brandy Burnham, the vice chair, and I live on 7th South and 5th East, very close to him.
I'm Jordan, live on Stanton Avenue, which is between 5th and 6th South on 3rd East, just about a block south of here, and then I work at Maverick on 2nd South and State.
Same address. I work up at Huntsman. So.
My name's Chris. I live right near 3rd South and 9th East.
I'm Cora. Actually, technically live in this neighborhood, but I do spend a lot of time here because my partner here lives on 2nd.
Yeah, 2nd East and 4th South. Sorry, that's why I switched it. 4th East and 2nd South, but I named Troy.
Cool.
Byron, I live at 6th South, 5th East.
Christopher Earl. I work with the city. I'm for the Heart team, as Joe and I mentioned. And so, just to follow up for Joe just a little, if you guys do have more questions about homelessness, please talk out to me.
I'm Rihanna Riggs. I'm the chair. I live on 600 South and between 4th and 5th East, right next to Richmond Park. So we're right by each other.
I'm Ava Lopez. I actually live up the road. It's East Central technically, but I'm always taking tracks and I work at the city. I'm one of the community liaisons, so I'm here to present to you today.
I'm Bly. I'm at 2nd and 2nd. Right by that church, so I get to know. It was Wendy. Yeah, cool.
I'm Julie, neighbors to Brianna.
Chris, 3rd East, Hampton.
My name is Rio Domingo, and I live at 456 East
650 South. Close to Rihanna on Sego Avenue. Just honestly, I was like trying to put it together.
I think I've seen you before. Like a cool greenhouse with a lot of intricate.
It's a beautiful home.
Yeah.
That's it. What was your name again?
My name's Brandy.
Brandy, always going around cleaning up the
garbage.
And then it's interesting. We've got some people online too. Do you guys? Can you introduce yourself, your name, and where you live?
Can you hear us?
My name is Nigel Swiggy. I actually live in Fair Park. I'm the community council chair there, and I wanted to hear what you guys are doing. I've known Brandy for a while, so
Hi there.
if you have any questions or anything, I'm happy to help.
Thanks, Nigel.
My name is Jane Stevenson, and I live at 150 South, 300 East.
Nice to meet you. Hello.
I'm Olivia Vilsich. I actually don't live in the area either, but I work with Autumn Baltimore as a state council member. Just taking some notes for her to get all this information back.
Thanks.
Thanks, Olivia.
And then Heather, are you there? Okay. Well, we appreciate everyone joining.
I played musical chair since I wanted
Oh,
to join
hey.
the table. Sorry. Dan Cairo, and I live on 151 South State Street.
Awesome. And if you haven't signed in, we have a sign-in sheet. We're going to start doing email newsletters so everyone can get information about what's going on in the neighborhood and opportunities to serve and get involved in the community.
Did we tear it off?
I ripped it out.
Oh, okay, cool. All right.
Do you
You
want
haven't
to do
signed
this,
up
the
to
survey thing?
Oh, yeah.
Or are there now other city announcements?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'm
No, not at all.
ready to go. Unless Chris, if you had anything else you wanted to say.
Joe covered
Well,
most of that.
thanks for having me. I missed the first one because I was working at Sundance, so apologies for that. But I did want to come back and meet everyone in person. It's been great working with Austin, with Brianna, with Brandy, and other individuals in the neighborhood. We've worked on other projects together. I know it was announced earlier, River Rock is a big project that kind of brought everyone together. There's been activity in this neighborhood. I've been involved since I came in with the administration in 2020. But even before that, I went to school here. So I've been a resident and neighbor of the neighborhood, so I know very well and walk these streets along with you and work and have compassion for all individuals that are in the neighborhood, whether they're housed or not. Obviously, we have lots of passions here. But my focus is going to be more on mayor's strategy and future planning for the city. But if you have any types of questions, you're welcome to ask me. I'll share my information. If we could get in the newsletter. I'm actually out of cards. I just ordered new business cards. But I did want to let everyone know during President's Day weekend, we will have the NBA All-Stars here. We haven't announced road closures yet. There will be a huge press conference announcing all that. We're waiting on Visit Salt Lake. But if you go to this website, and I can share it for those that are online, visit saltlake.com / it's NBA All-Star. If you click go, or if you just type in SLC NBA All-Star, it's all going to be published through Visit Salt Lake. If you have any reason to go downtown, I'm going to tell you right now, almost all of downtown is going to be blocked off from State Street to 2nd West. We're expecting. I don't want to give you the exact measurements yet, so there might be a few more blockages that they'll be announcing soon. So that's all I can give you right now. Unfortunately, I don't have more information, but the map will be published. Please, I mean it, avoid downtown during that time. I mean, unless you want to go see a game, but
or ride bicycles like possible.
Yeah,
ride your bike.
Obviously, walk, bike, but there will be. We're expecting this. Let me put it in perspective. We're expecting more presence than even the Olympics in 2002.
What?
So this is meant to be the largest event Salt Lake City's ever had.
Wow.
What dates?
Oh my God.
Do you know dates roughly?
It's President's Day weekend, so the February 17th, 18th. I don't have a calendar in front of me. It is going to be pretty amazing. I'll actually be working.
Oh, the free tracks will be open.
Yes.
Free fair thing. Where does that go from? What day to what day?
So it's the full weekend, so it should be the 17th through the 19th.
Okay.
So it's a 2-day event. Let me make sure. Let me pull it up. So
600 days.
10
days.
10 days. Free fair. 10 days.
So anyways. Very exciting. There are affordable tickets that are going to be the HBCU games. So these are historically black colleges and universities. Super exciting. They'll be at Huntsman Center. If you really like basketball or if you like sports in town, it's great to support. They're $10. So highly recommend you go, again, visit Salt Lake. It's going to have all that information to buy tickets. And if you're really bougie and you would like to see NBA games, those are a little bit pricier, but you can also watch those, and they'll be at the actually, it's the Delta Center now.
Yeah. I still call it the Delta Center.
Sorry, I was going to say, we love the Delta Center. I trained myself to save.
I can never say Energy Solutions Arena that often, or Vivint. It was just like.
That's great. And then we already mentioned SLC mobile app, but if you don't have a smartphone, you can actually go online and submit also. Please download it. This is the #1 way to communicate with the city, whether it's graffiti, air quality, even maybe it's a noise complaint. This reroutes to all departments. So instead of sending it, the mayor's office, we get lots of calls. We end up sending them back into departments. So it's a really quick response. If you're having difficulty with response, like it could be lighting, it could be a light bulb, it could be a pothole. It will be sent directly to the workers that are meant to respond to that utility. And so it's really great, really efficient. I did want to share this website. So it's slcmayorplan.com, and this is where we have our 2023 goals that our mayor has outlined for us. There's lots of information because we just had our State of the City address, where the mayor also will be announcing her proposed budget out. But this, I wanted to highlight a few key items, which is one of them. We spent a lot of time talking today about homelessness. It's really important, critical for our city, county, and state, our DA's office, our AG's office, and this is the top priority listed, is to be able to work through some of the legislators along with city staff actually went to Miami to go look at this model that basically, I've heard it articulate so beautifully by Sen-Gil, and basically to filter, right? Every municipality, every government, and the service providers are trying to catch through these filters individuals that are found their way off of housing specifically, but also just off of systems that help us. And so encapsulating this and trying to negotiate with business owners that maybe feel the symptoms of homelessness more, or people that are in parks especially. These are places that are utilized by these individuals. This is #1 priority for Mayor Mendenhall, is to work with these other affiliate organizations to try to encapsulate that. So, that's very simplified, but you heard a lot of individuals like Chris and Joe that are in the midst of it. We're trying to use as much as city resources as we can to help these partners. I would ask, each of you ask, what is something else you can do? We're in the legislative session. I know our Representative Briscoe can talk more to this, but you have a voice that you can bring to the state, not just the city. When people come talking to the city, we have restrictions on what we can enact and what we can do and what policies we can pass. I think people often forget that. And it's not to bring attention. We have great advocates like Representative Briscoe, but you can write to your governor, you can write to legislators, right? There's important bills being discussed right now, that most of them being out of committee, that are going to the House and to the Senate. And so,
what site are they on again? Where you could go? They have them all listed and stuff.
And I can pull that up. Joel, do you have the exact website for? Is it Utah?
LE.utah.gov.
LE.utah.
Call the governor's office, 801-538-1000.
And you could you could watch them and keep track of them.
It makes a difference. Yeah, you can watch them. There's recordings. So yeah, it's le.utah.gov, and that's going to be a great way to stay up to date. You can flag homelessness bills, and that'll pop up for you. That way you only track those if you want. There's other bills like water rights,
air stuff,
etc. Yeah, whatever it is, the idea is to stay involved, right, in all levels. The county also passes their budget. That already happened, I believe. Sorry, don't work for the county, so. But anyways, the point is that there are other municipalities involved that need to hear your voice, and often the city gets all of that absorbed, and so it'd be great. I think that's a #1 way to advocate, actually, because it allows other resources to come in and to help amplify that. And it doesn't just mean tackle one issue through a criminal lens. It means amplify it economically through housing, right? There's lots of other different venues to solve these critical issues, not just homelessness. It could be air quality, right? It could be any other issue that we're sustaining. So just wanted to highlight that.
I want to comment on something real quick.
Sure.
And hopefully this is some, helpful feedback. I totally get the need to build coalitions, right, to make sure that we're working with folks. We have limited resources. It's off-putting to hear when folks bring concerns, constituents bring concerns, and then we start pointing the finger, that's not us, that's them, right? So whether it's the talking points or the messaging or however it's framed, not turning it into more coalition building means more opportunities to pass the buck and responsibility or accountability to someone else. So
yeah, I don't
just
think any of us have said that tonight. I do think
we just heard it here earlier.
Okay.
I heard it, and so I'm just saying, as we move forward, and we need to create coalitions, right?
Sure.
Saying that's not us, that's the coalition for the homelessness, right? It should be an added opportunity to work together, not a barrier to accountability. And it sounds like a barrier to accountability, at least what I heard tonight, and from some of my other neighbors. So just something to keep in mind as we go around tour. We're talking about what we want to do.
There's another way to frame it, and that is to say, and perhaps this is what she's trying to say, that by building coalitions, we enhance the power of people.
I get that. That message is not lost. So that is salient, solid. I'm on board.
Yesterday, I didn't have committee meeting in the morning, and I sat in social services, and I listened to 40 minutes of Representative White presenting the Coalition for Affordable Housing, the Commission for Affordable Housing that I sit on, make presentations for funding. It's the most coherent presentation I've heard. For the last 5 years, starting with Mayor Biskupski and continued under Mayor Mendenhall, the city has funded some government relations people who have helped be the focus and drawing together. Here's what happens in affordable housing in the state of Utah. If the people who advocate for the homeless and the poor and the lower middle class don't get our act together, and we're starting to get it together, then Ivory Homes and the builders advocate for the average, for people who make what we call AMI, average median income, and above. Because it's very easy to build market rate housing. If you're a reputable builder and you have a success record and you have a piece of land and you have a relationship with the city or the county and it's zoned the way you need it, or you get it zoned the way you need it, you get the money, because the flow coming back to you from those rents is going to pay, because it's going to pencil out. If you want to help people who make less, and they will tell you, we do affordable housing because people at 80% of the average median income rent. What's the average median income now with inflation? It's higher than it was. Wayne Niederhauser and I are trying to drive it to 30% and below. People are making 30% and below. If you want to build a 4-plex, a 20-plex, a 200-unit place, and you want to rent a chunk of that to people who make 30% and below of the average median income, you got to find a way to make up that rent. And it takes loans from the federal government, it takes loans from the state, which we're trying to rent off.
Dave, we've got 8 minutes. Why don't we?
And the city's role in making sure that happened yesterday is not widely known by its own citizens. I've seen it from the inside. It would not have happened without Mayor Biskupski and Mayor Mendenhall and the city council.
Thanks, Joel. Sorry, I do want to wrap up because I know there were other.
But I understand your point, and I understand your point about how it's perceived, and how it's perceived. This is the reality for us.
So that was priority number 1. Priority number 2 is going to be leading on air quality initiatives. So again, on this website, it goes into much more detail. I'm trying to wrap up quickly because the meeting's going to end in 5 minutes, but.
So let me say the main thing that we wanted to do tonight. Sorry about. There's just so many announcements. Okay. So this meeting was advertised as a meet and greet and brainstorming. So if you guys haven't been involved in the community council for a while, this is the first time we've really gotten together in 2 years.
This is the biggest meeting we've had.
Yeah, and what we wanted to do is get everyone's thoughts on what's good in the neighborhood, what's bad in the neighborhood, what should we do together to improve things, And so after the city announcements are done, that's what we want to talk about. And that's why we have this survey that we're passing around. And if you want to do the survey while city announcements are happening, you're welcome to do that.
Yeah, just scan the QR code.
Will you post that survey link again in the chat?
Yep, I'll do that.
So yes, technically we're ending at 7, but we welcome you to stay. So we can...
Is 7:30 okay?
Yeah.
You guys okay with that?
I gotta head out because I have another thing.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah.
Greater Avenue?
No, I don't represent them.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be trip reduction plan. There's a lot of environmental issues, and then I was just going to end with the announcement. Ballpark's $100 million plan that we've received. It's a donation from the Larry H. and Gail Manley Foundation, which is really exciting.
What was the name that was called though? Was it called a donation? It was called something else. The word I don't remember, but
leadership.
they're leading the way.
Okay. So is it a total donation? Or is it contingent based upon things? It sounded complex to me, just the name
I
of
mean,
it.
it's in phases, so that'll be announced more. We don't have more information on that, unfortunately.
Okay.
So you can go to ballparknext.com, and that has a contest right now on the rezone of the actual ballpark. So if you're a student, if you were a resident, or if you were a professional, for example, an urban planner, you can submit and actually win money. And that will help. Basically, it's like an RFI process. It's a way for the city to basically get a request for information, which means it helps us understand what does the constituency want to see this turned into. So please take advantage of that. I do have to go to another city meeting here in a couple minutes, so I'll be outside here in a bit. But thank you for having me. Yeah,
thank you for coming by. Do you feel better? You were sick, or was that weeks ago? I don't remember very well. You were sick a while ago. Recently.
Even not sick.
Okay, well, you know me and my
spreading the
Detective Stewart, do you want to have any updates for us?
Well, it's January. The crime in Central City is down a little bit, which is good, but that's also typical of January when temperatures are cold and it's wet. People tend to be a little quieter, they stay in. Just coming up in the spring to summer months, we'll start to see an uptick in that. So just being vigilant, and also knowing the differences between reporting on SLC Mobile, which does not go to the police department. It goes to the city's teams, but I with the city and with the resource centers and with the BOA and all the teams every week. So we are working on that collaboration. So because communication and working together is so key. I mean, the fire department's there. We're all one city. We aren't just districts. We all live here or work here, and we all should work together to be able to tackle the problems. And I hate that too, being passed off. Well, it's not me, it's them. It's not me, it's them. Well, if you call me, I'll say, let's find together how we can fix this. Whether it's my problem or not. That's just kind of me. Criminally, that's what I deal with, but we also work with the city, and I just think that trying to help a community is so key to work with the whole community, and that's largely why we go to these meetings as well. So if you guys don't have my information, it's just my first stop, my last name. Is it in the chat, or
I don't know.
Put it in there?
Maybe we have a newsletter. I think that's
I would
work on slcp.com.
Okay, yeah. If you have stuff you want to put in our newsletter, I think since Brandy.
Yeah,
okay.
and then I can give it to them. And then just recap, the new offices that were dedicated to the Shelter, River Rock, and Taffer Park area are out. Because I see a good presence, more than I used to there, driving around, looking. So how many are there?
We don't have that team yet.
You don't? Oh, seems like there's more.
It's not official.
No, we do have a team of officers who work on overtime, and they are assigned to Central City. So that is fantastic, and I can ask them to go, and they have actually been responding to a lot of the calls, but they are working overtime.
And it's June that they were going to introduce the
hopefully June we'll get our team right around that, and Sergeant Sanders has been out. He's been hit with the triple pack of negative experiences this Christmas season, so hopefully in a couple of weeks he'll be back. But yeah, he'll be phenomenal and trying to help out the community right around the shelters.
Okay. Wonderful.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. See you later. See you next time. Bye.
Do you have access to the back end of the survey, or is that Brandon?
I just requested access for you.
I think Rihanna has it then, because
I've got all the responses.
Okay. Do you want to leave the discussion, or should I? Okay. So, did everyone take the survey, get the chance to do it? Awesome.
Doing it
You're
now.
doing it now? Okay, perfect.
Got another one coming. One second.
Do you want to, I don't know if you said.
Yeah, okay, good to look at. Or we could I'll write stuff on the board.
Yeah, we just talk.
Yeah, we can just
respond verbally. I haven't taken the survey.
So,
first question was just, what are the top three things you like best about living in Central City?
So what are some of the things that popped up?
Central location, quick and easy access to events, both indoors and outdoors, kindness of community and neighbors, and the local businesses. Let's see, proximity to downtown shops and businesses, excellent transit service, bikeable and walkable to essentials. Let's see, transit, mix of uses, walkable, not quite as busy as downtown, quieter, central location, arts and cultural events, a lot of walkability and access to transit and local businesses. Anybody want to add anything to that?
Yeah. Any other things you love about the neighborhood? So obviously we've all made a choice to be here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I like the if you're new to the city, welcome. But there's still a good mix of like old time Salt Lake City folks living downtown.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that. I like being transplant, but I also like the richness of the
diversity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like people that live in their homes for 40 years, you know.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, they were lucky now. I worked hard to have fun in the 90s. We didn't have but
even
it's a good
like
mixture.
I moved in 2009, and things have changed so much since then. So.
And they say the population's going to double in the next how many years? 20 years or something. I'm like, ooh.
It definitely feels an identity to Central City. It reminds me a lot of what I remember Salt Lake City being growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, that I do worry a little bit about losing that in the next 10, 20, 30 years as the place grows. I want to keep that like heart. It feels like the heart.
It's still Salt Lake City. You want it to be.
Mountain region.
Yeah. Unless you're trying to meet people.
Yeah.
No, that was a joke. But I mean, and on that point, right? And so I just don't want this to be lost. I think the mayor in the what was it? The state of the city said that we have to lean into development and not be scared of it. That's my paraphrasing. I don't think the growth is scary, but it's how we grow that matters, right? And so, like, how do we keep some of that, some of that heart in folks that live here, right? I mean, unfortunately, and it's sometimes uncomfortable, I can afford to live in Central City. I don't think that I can afford to live here. It's that balance, right? How we grow.
Yeah. When we're talking about how we grow, traditionally one of the purposes of community councils is to give a voice for the community as development happens. So like Rihanna gets an email almost any time a developer's proposing a rezone or they're proposing a very large building where they have to have a design review. And so one of the things that we could do if you guys are interested is, when we get that information, pass it along to the group and then give everybody an opportunity to get input. Because growth, in my opinion, growth can be a good thing, but like you said, we should harness it in a way that enhances the community instead of makes it bland and monotonous.
One thing I've actually seen Randy at almost every other community council meeting except for Fair Park. I did not see you there, and I was surprised.
Oh, I've been to Fair Park once, just not recently. I know Nigel.
A big topic that's affecting their community is the widening of I-15 that they're planning, and that is detrimental to a lot of the folks that live right there. So that we talk about expansion and different things like that. That's a huge topic right now that's affecting people who live in the city.
Something like that can happen in any community or neighborhood in a different way.
Like by extension, that's detrimental to us. I mean, we're defined in our city by the intersection of UDOT roads across every major corridor. We got 4th South, 5th South, 6th South, 7th East, State Street. Those are like the borders of our community that I don't know if we have any control or ability to push back on it all, but it feels like almost pedestrian genocide happening. And it's like we all live here because we like the access, we like walkability, bikeability. I walk a bike or a skateboard to work every single day.
I almost get my cars every day on my bike,
I mean, there have been, 6 deaths
in 4th South.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what they did? They didn't do any outreach, right? I don't know if anyone heard about that repayment, but traditionally that's when a city or a state would redesign its street, is during that repaving process. But I don't think
that was a waste of opportunity.
Yeah. I was going to say too that what we do, full disclosure, I'm a long-term resident of District 2, and I just, we were forced to sell our house for different reasons, so we were in that neighborhood. We organized, all 24 of our neighbors around the block got together to try to stop development, and what we learned is the point system, for how developers get pieces. So that point system is actually not written in favor of communities or whatnot. You can get enough points to put a nice aesthetic while then saying that you care about the single mom who's going to live here. So I think that what we can do is look at what are the processes that developers have to go through, and that point system is the first place I would say to start.
Okay, fill me in because I don't know about this stuff. What's the point system? What's the point
zone? It's in the transit-oriented development zones.
So if the developer proposes something, they have to meet a sustainable material. It has to be not invasive to the existing neighborhood. So there's all those pieces, but you get points for having nice art decor inside. But that doesn't mean anything when the big building, like it was happening to us, 60 units, are not actually taking into consideration the impact of the infrastructure, and then that gets pushed on the neighborhood.
It's all aesthetic and it's not the bones.
Right. So it doesn't. Yeah. Anyway, so there's several ways I think that conversations can be had about what is actually the input that honors the I'm sorry, I'm bringing my old district's council issues, but the North Temple agreement that had a bunch of input from community was being ignored, right? So how can we actually continue to speak to the processes that developers are putting or sending you information like, hey, we want to do this. But what does it actually look like? What is the impact on infrastructure? What is the impact on parking?
And is anyone existing residents?
Right, existing residents. Yes.
Is existing housing being lost to build,
or historic buildings,
multi-unit, and that is happening.
Yeah.
I think that might be one of our biggest needs is, somebody to lead a committee, something like that. But
if anyone has a passion for that, we definitely
a land use committee.
On the subject of state roads versus local development, have we looked to say what are the areas where we simply don't have any influence versus some of those individual blocks or streets or tracks where it's literally anything that comes up is something we should be all over to understand and know what we have.
Yeah, and I think it'd be good to have a streets committee in this council, right? Like someone's over the real estate development, or gathers everyone's opinions and sends it to the developer, and then someone's over streets, because when the city is repaving a street or rebuilding it, they want to get everyone's input. They want to hear what people have to say. So we can gather that information. We can bring it to the city.
Should we invite someone from the streets area division from Salt Lake City Corp to come and speak, or kind of give us some?
Yeah, maybe in the future.
That could be a good topic.
When is the next Sears thing? Is that happening anytime soon? Meeting or anything like that? Okay.
But just like we were saying earlier, that we're really building this community council from
the ground up.
Literally.
Yeah. And so there's a place for everybody, and we want to give people jobs, more or less, like roles and responsibilities. If you love streets, if you love real estate development, we should put you to work.
Whatever your passion is,
arts and we're going to plan some fun events, and so there really is something for everybody, I think.
Yeah, if you guys are okay with that, I'm parking here in the to-do, things that our council can work on together. And I put development review, I'll put streets projects review. It could be good to review the negative things that you put in the survey. Here are the issues that we have.
Let's see. So top three things you like least about living in Central City: homelessness and drugs, cost of living. Let's see, wide streets, car prioritized infrastructure, buildings in disrepair, construction blocking biking and walking portions of streets. Let's see.
Raccoons.
Raccoons. There's a lot in our neighborhood.
I heard squirrels are getting kind of big and crazy now too. Red
I'm
squirrels
going
or
for them on
something.
the plus side. I like that.
Empty lots, parking lots, empty storefronts.
Oh yeah, dilapidated buildings and stuff like that. Ballpark had a horrible issue with that, them having to tear them down.
Improvements, let's see, horribly designed state roads that trap us and needed improvements to pedestrian and bike safety. Let's see, trash, noise, feeling like the city will not respond to problems, dogs off leash, problem neighbors, etc. Homelessness, homogenous, quick growth, tearing down old buildings for unaffordable high rises.
Yeah, me too.
There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. But there's some common themes there: homelessness, vacant buildings, trash, pedestrian, and walkability. So that's a good thing and bad thing.
It means that we have a lot that we can fix.
Yeah.
And I'm excited because I moved here not too long ago. I am a recent transplant. I moved here like a year and a half ago, and I was looking to get involved because the city that I moved from had really strong neighborhood councils. And when I saw Central City Neighborhood Council was effectively dead, I was a little concerned. So I think we have a lot of power together to fix some of these things, and we should bring our neighbors in, we should bring our friends in, and work on these things together. And I think we can solve a lot of these issues that we see every day.
I just have a quick question. I was late, so I don't know if you started this way, but is this meeting actually mandated by any, like the mayor's office? Did they ask her, do you guys just come together? We don't have any legal.
We have a few. Since we're a nonprofit, and so we do have bylaws and certain standards we have to
structure guidelines
adhere by. So we are required to meet. Well, required? I don't know if required.
I think our bylaws, it's like a
once a month.
And then for that restriction, we get what? Do we have?
We have to have certain things posted, like certain things out to the public that are very clearly defined,
and which we're recording. So. And
then we get something out of that for having a formal restriction. Nothing.
No,
I mean, we get the information about when things are going to happen, and they run by us, and
I mean, we get information.
Lots of emails
through.
Yes. I'm just curious. I mean, I'm just curious as to.
We're learning this
Obviously,
too.
getting together is always good, but I thought maybe they gave us an incentive, like, hey, you can get some people together and you follow these formal rules just to make everything, usually it's for a good reason, then we can interact with you on a different level as opposed to just a band of wild dogs.
I would say that, I mean, we did have, and I think that's Heather, right? Or I don't know who it was, no, probably wasn't Heather, but we did have the city council representative. So this is not so off-roading, that it is connected, and I do think the city council does take into consideration the neighborhood councils for input. In many ways, that's the only way to get input from very disengaged constituents sometimes. So I do think there's value in organizing. So thank you for jump-starting this.
Yeah, no, I definitely like it. I just was hoping, I'm just hoping that maybe we actually do have maybe a seat. You were saying that you're in the city you were in before, that they actually had powerful city councils or community councils, and I'm just curious, how did they actually exercise, other than the fact that they existed, which is intrinsically somewhat powerful, but maybe the city did actually have a method that empowered them beyond that. Maybe
what made them
have a seat in the actual city council or anything?
Yeah, formally, us being part of a community council doesn't give us any special treatment, but it adds a bit of clout. Right? So when we say the community council wants this, then there's more weight behind it because it means that there's a collective opinion and consensus on something.
Than just random people saying, I don't like this, I don't like this.
The three of us, what kind of started this was the problematic River Rock apartment complex. And so the three of us were working together with the police and the city, and Ava was like, hey, if you really want to get behind this, you should get the council back together. Get the band back together. Yeah. So, we went through the steps to get that done. So here we are.
To be clear, it's part of a network of other
councils. Yes, like
every neighborhood.
Every neighborhood has. There's many. Like the last neighborhood that we lived in was pretty.
Yeah, while we're not affiliated with the city government, this is a separate nonprofit, and so we can have opinions that are contrary to the government at times, or sometimes in support of it.
And there are certain things that will come up that I guess we get to vote on, and so as a group we can.
And that's our word when they want to know something. It's like the majority, and
so we'll make sure to let everybody know about those opportunities too.
For sure.
I think an informed community is an empowered community
right.
as well. Because if the whole community just sits in their own houses and they don't know what's going on, or like the new house bills, or anything that's going on in their community, then everyone just sits and does their own thing. But when everyone gets together and talks and says, yeah, this place is a problem, I'm having this problem, then they can all come together, and then they do have power. like city council members come to these meetings, police, fire, the director of streets was at Fair Park. It's information and it's a community coming together.
Yeah. People on all sorts of levels, just people that want to sit and listen to all, the very top. So it's a nice diverse group. And I'm really impressed with the size of this meeting today, so thank you.
So one thing we don't want to do is lose track of everyone, right? Like you guys all took the time to come here and we feel your passion and we know you want to get involved. So what would be the best way you guys think of continuing communication with each other, right? Like we're going to set up an email newsletter, but that's really just one-way communication. Mm-hmm. We want everyone to be able to talk with each other.
If you have questions.
Is it like a Facebook group? Is it a Slack channel or something? What do you guys think?
Yeah, like are you more social media, more email? Do you like to text? I mean, what's your...
How did we get this room? Did we have? Did
well,
somebody?
We're usually at the library, but since they had
they closed.
It's the repairs.
So we were lucky enough to get.
Did they donate it?
They don't.
Yeah, they did.
It was last minute. It was really nice of them. And it used to be in the public safety building. So thank you for your previous letting us hold the meetings there.
Thank you for putting it together. It is way, but I personally really much more appreciate being able to speak in person. I also like the other electronic methods, but I definitely would second put forward more meetings. Just they don't have to be so big as long as you just actually meet and have a topic. And
every first Wednesday of the month, 6 p.m.
Like your Facebook group is pretty. It looks like it's pretty engaged. Like there's a lot of activity happening there.
It was shockingly.
Yeah, I mean, at least because ours wasn't as much. So I was really pleasant. I was looking for the meeting, and so I mean, not to add a new something to your thing, so I would just
we'll just stay active on Facebook, and we can maybe create
so like a group chat.
Yeah, maybe we can create a separate group chat or something. Or I don't know.
There's the District 4 residents Facebook group.
Just
like
use
double
that
up on there. There are things that affect the downtown neighborhood
that are also
the East Central neighborhood.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Roughly, is that downtown us and East Central?
Yeah, exactly.
The boundaries are just slightly different for the official city council one, right?
For District 4,
but it's basically like downtown, Central City, East Central.
Okay.
I think that's it, and that's Ana Valdemora's district.
And she usually comes to these.
She's just out of town.
She hasn't the last two.
She said she'll be back on the 5th.
Huh?
Someone from her office was on.
Yeah, she's not there anymore.
As long as we keep the Liberty Wells riffraff out of the...
Liberty Wells. That's what they call me, and I'm in Central City,
What was the group called? Sorry.
It's called, SLC District 4 residents.
SLC District 4 residents. It has 537 members currently. It's private, so you may have to just request to be
But are they Facebook abstainers?
Yeah, okay.
That's a very good point.
I went to the website and then it links to Facebook. So that's how I found the more up-to-date stuff. Because on the website right now, it's talking about the January meeting.
Yeah. We're working on getting that.
Did anyone use the link tree? I've tried to put all our links into one sort of thing so you could click on it and see them all. Did anyone see that?
It actually took me a while, but when I finally got a link that click, it took me to Facebook. So that's
okay.
Because when we use our website, when we use our Instagram page or Facebook page, that's all one-way communication, right? Like we're sending messages out. People can comment, but it's not a discussion platform. If we use this Facebook group or something else similar, then we can have discussions about things with each other outside of this meeting.
So something like Reddit or something. Not Reddit, but never mind.
I don't even know how to use that Reddit. Do people use that a lot? They do?
No, I found out about this one.
Oh, really?
Somebody posted it on.
Oh, wow.
I was browsing a word.
I can just throw an app I've heard of. GroupMe is an app.
Yeah, I use that for
you're able to kind of have set up your own specific group so that it maintains its own chat. That's an idea.
One from Sladley, I've used that before. It's similar to GroupMe, but you can have separate threads. Like if we have a streets committee, real review committee, you can have separate spaces to talk just about that stuff, so you're not blasting everyone's phone.
Yeah, I love Slack for that reason. But I don't know if it's too advanced.
I mean, the ability to do channels and have threaded conversations could be useful. Plus, it's easy to archive.
Wait, didn't Slack change recently to a paid? I was using it for a group I was in, and then all of a sudden it was paid for certain
features.
Yes.
Your messages will
Free for a
They
nonprofit.
delete after a few months, so
Oh.
we couldn't
Yeah.
archive it for our group anymore.
And it might be.
Oh yeah, because we want to keep this documented.
It's happening,
Yeah.
yeah. The services have changed for Slack recently, so it kind of is not as ideal as it used to be.
Why did neighborhoods do before technology?
I mean, I can put
Door to
more
door,
suggestions
paper.
out there.
They knew each other.
Discord, even though
Smoke
Discord is normally
signals.
used for gaming, it does have the ability to do subsections, etc. That might be an option as well because it is free.
What is it called?
Discord.
Discord. I've heard of that.
Yeah, I like Discord.
I've never used any of this stuff as like Discord or whatever before.
Discord's pretty user friendly.
It is. Okay.
It's
Cool.
very user.
Okay.
Can we change the name of the neighborhood on Nextdoor? I've never used Nextdoor, but I moved here and I had signed up, and it's like you're part of the 9th Ward.
I know it sounds so
Now,
religious.
It's a church now.
I'm an atheist, so I'm like, no.
It's not a neighborhood.
And we may have a joint council meeting again in the near future. We went to one a couple of months ago with the mayor's office, where the four close by neighborhood councils, which is Central, East Central 9th or something. What's the other one? Downtown. There's four of them. Get together and do like a bigger kind of get together. So that would be something that would be maybe worth going to. Hopefully they'll do that again soon. So I'll have to ask Ava about that.
So I've heard a lot of support for Discord that's user friendly.
Yeah.
That I would
Reasonably. There's a lot of information readily available on here's how to use it, here's how to find friends, here's how to get involved. So of the different systems, it's a pretty user friendly one.
Cool. I think we can talk about it and make a decision.
Yeah.
If you guys are good, I think it'd be good to move on, talk about like ideas, things that we could accomplish together during the year, and then wrap up at 7:30.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So I'm actually a grad student at the U, so I take the bus a lot, and I know with the construction on 200 South, they're putting in new light bus lanes, which I'm actually really excited about. Do you know anything about like trying to push for more frequent service on the two? It's like the most used bus line in the city, and sometimes if I take it at rush hour, there's like physically not space to fit people on the bus.
Wow.
They've had to turn people away.
Have you gone to UTA.com at all?
Isn't it every 15 minutes though?
Yeah, so it's every 15, but the problem is that's actually, and it's one of the most frequent bus lines in the city, but that's still kind of a
I used to use that one all the
What route is
It's
it?
cold out, it's the 2 bus.
Okay.
When it's cold out, also sometimes you just miss your bus and you're out there for like 12 minutes in the cold. So it's really nice if they increase it. I don't know if anyone else here takes it regularly, but I take it like at least 3 days a week.
Do you know models that move to 8 minutes when it's rush hour?
Which one was?
In Chicago Transit.
Yeah, 15 minutes is kind of a long time for such a central.
15's our most rapid bus line.
So,
15 is the most rapid that they've had any of their lines go, even tracks.
So I looked at all the master plans, and Second South is supposed to be bus rapid transit eventually, but it's absolutely not funded at all. The way the city is preparing for it because they put the bus islands in.
Did you say it's not funded?
That's what I saw.
Okay.
The UTA just put out their 5-year plan. I didn't hear anything about it.
Everyone
If you reach out to UTA, it doesn't really work. There's Utah Transit Riders Union. Have you heard of that?
I actually have not.
Okay, so it's a group of people who advocate for better service on UTA, and I would connect with them because again, there's power in numbers, and they probably have connections to the right people in UTA. So I try that.
Is this something we can lobby Anna as a neighborhood council to have that be a priority for the city council? Because I know, because it wouldn't just impact us, because that crosses over to the district with 100
It's a great bus.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I'd start with the transit riders and see, because they probably have connections to the right people, and then if that doesn't work, you can escalate to the politicians. But it's always best to start directly.
Thank you. Yeah, I was not aware of that.
Yeah, I joined them.
Thank you.
They Utah Transit Riders.
So Fairport Community Council actually had their UTA director at their meeting last week. I can probably get his information if you want to come and talk, because he talked about 2 routes that they actually discontinued and didn't tell anyone about.
Oh, jeez.
Then incorporated 2 new, so it might be beneficial to have him out and get his information.
Cool.
I mean, did Utah not recently get absorbed into UDOT?
Say again?
Did UTA get recently absorbed or subsumed within UDOT?
So UDOT runs their capital projects now. So that means if they're doing infrastructure projects.
So any kind of infrastructure related to public transit is now under the auspices of.
Now UDOT runs their construction work, but you should always go to UTA and transit-related questions.
They have a lot of stuff on their website, and I know they recently put out a 5-year plan, and I kind of watched it, but I wasn't super engaged in it, so it might be something worth looking up on YouTube. Is just all what they plan for the next 5 years and what they want to do and accomplish.
The public comment period for the 5-year plan just closed, but they do have a UTA transit needs survey out for their long-range plan. If you just Google, UTA 5-year service plan, you can find a link to the comment form, or I can send it. Let me put it in the newsletter.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be good. We should look at that. Can you send it to Brand for the?
Yeah. I can't get my card. I'll give you my card.
And then let's keep talking about other things that you want to see the community council accomplish, things we can do together. We've got development review type stuff, like street planning review. One thing that I've been working on is street trees. So I go around, I have this flyer that I printed that I've got permission from the city to put on people's doors. It basically says the city will plant a street tree in your park strip if you commit to watering it. And I go around and I post those on morning walks. And I've gotten 40 different people committed to watering trees, which is nice. So if someone wants to take over that project, it's like doing it and we can shift to a different part of the neighborhood, that would be cool.
Yeah, you never gave me any flyers. We still got to do that.
I need to do more flyers. But things like that, service projects, what ideas, did you have something?
I was going to ask if you've been in the work, if you've got flack from Save GSL from people trying to save trees. It's kind of in conflict a little bit.
Wait, say that one more time.
The extra watering is raising anybody's concerns. But personally, I'm an arborist, so I like trees a lot. But I'm just curious if it's an issue.
It's a small price to pay to reduce urban heat island effect and beautify area.
That usually offsets the amount of water that it's using.
Well, I was just going to say that I'm sure that there's people here that are very concerned about GSL, so any kind of use.
There we go. It only took me 10 minutes to find it.
Well, I'm just going to say that would be something that would be nice to maybe if we have some people who are concerned about how much water we're using, and how you can use trees responsibly. We should talk to each other. I know about trees, and I actually have concerns about water use, but I think you can.
Horses are so bad.
They don't have to be at odds all the time, but they are obviously. Luckily, we have lots of water right now, but it's not always the case.
Yeah. And when you guys put out the surveys, did you indicate what type of thing you'd want to work on, or what?
Yeah. What's your passion and interest?
Yeah, I did.
That was my lack of survey creating space.
I mean, I put my email on so you don't know who I am.
You didn't put your email on it?
I should have, but I just
it was optional.
But I could also write it next to.
Yeah. Why don't we do another pass around of this thing? And if there's a specific thing,
write it next.
Yeah. If there's something you're really interested in, something you want to take charge of, write that next to your name. Let's pass it around one more time. And then we can reach out and start organizing.
Yeah. Even if it's not
issues.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the issue we are talking about, not only
for another paper.
No, we already have that. Just write what you want to help with.
Yeah.
Or what you want to work on.
Sorry, the commitment level just
It's hard. I'm not saying anything, but I might have been forced to do that.
You have a precedent of the talk and don't do person that lives right across from you.
I see Rec Center on there.
What are you talking about?
Don't worry, I shouldn't say it, but
how long have you
are you putting it on Facebook? Usually 1 hour. Right. I keep putting that's a transfer.
Yeah, we'll take pictures of it.
They actually have power to do.
Yeah.
Oh, Provo.
They were very upset about it.
I keep forgetting about the people. They watch it more.
You gotta be cool. That's all I know there. And I was thinking about really what I wanted to do.
So where did you? What city did you move from?
It's been fun and productive. It's not that awkward tension.
I would like to talk about it, especially with Chris here still.
rough time. Well, you guys, we've got just 2 minutes left, and I'm going to turn it over to Rihanna. So if you saw in the news or you live nearby, the Central City Recreation Center is now a temporary homeless shelter. I don't know exactly how long it'll be. Obviously, it's a good move because the weather was really bad, right? It's so cold. But also, it could be concerning if it stays like that for a long amount of time because our neighborhood does shoulder a lot of the burden of homelessness services, right? And so originally, the city was about dispersing, like spreading it equally around the city.
Yes.
So yeah, we should talk about like, our reaction to that or what we want to see.
We would like to draft a letter to the city and other individuals, just talking about how we feel about.
They should be evenly spread out among all the neighborhoods.
And what we don't want to have happen is it becoming a permanent resource, and we lose our rec center to support another homeless resource center that's right around the corner from the other one. So, that's what the three of us have been talking about. So if you have any opinions on that, we would love to hear them and make sure that they get included in this letter that we're drafting.
Yeah, I guess the question is like, if people would support a letter that says, it's a good move to have an overnight temporary shelter there, we support it, but, if something permanent happens there, we wouldn't want to see that.
Yeah. Is there a map out there somewhere that shows all of the permanent shelters so we can articulate more?
Yeah, that map exists. I know where it is. Yeah, and it's downtown, Central City, and then Ballpark has it all.
Okay, I am so shocked because I read Nextdoor, the Tribune, KSL. I feel like I'm on top of things. I didn't hear anything about that.
They just snuck it.
They snuck it. We totally out of left field. So
it's because it got super cold and last time people were dying. It was bad.
Yeah, of course I don't want to die.
Yeah.
Of course.
And they had warming tents over on near Rio Grande, a day or two ago before that.
So has it overtaken the use as a rec center? Like, can you still use it as a rec center?
It's just overnight.
It's like a night type, like the movie nights. I volunteered out.
Like movie nights, but it's being run by the county.
And it's sanctioned and all legal.
They got directly involved once they were setting up the tents and lighting fires inside of Rio Grande.
Yeah.
Fire got involved and were like, hey, we can't light fires like this. And that immediately got brought up to the county, who then stepped in and said, well, let's find another temporary solution to handle this particular thing. So that's why it came up at all. So, and from everything I've heard, it's temporary. So that's you never know when that turns into something more. But so far, everything I've heard is just temporary. So there's no further plans going.
And it's every day at nighttime right now?
It has been since last night.
Last night just started, okay.
So is the county staffing it? County employees
No,
are staffing it?
I believe Unsheltered Utah jumped in to help staff it. I don't know how long that is going to continue.
So Unsheltered Utah, is that different than the Second and Second? There's so many groups I get confused on.
So Unsheltered is what formed Second and Second. They are, because they're combined with the Methodist Church, that's what makes Second and Second, to put them together.
Oh, okay.
Unsheltered also is working with the county to do this particular rec center.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts about a letter like that? Is that something that you support, saying,
yes,
we support this temporary shelter, it's a good thing, but it's not something we want to see permanently overtaking the rec center? Yes.
Yeah, and honestly asking for what are your long-term plans so this doesn't keep happening every winter, because it's not fair to the people and it's not fair to the neighborhood residents. Yeah.
There's a lot of people who don't go to the shelter.
I don't know.
They don't.
So that's like we probably.
They have a myriad of issues. PTSD, issues with drugs,
They get stolen from.
Shelter is not ideal for every person out there. So when you do get out and talk to the homeless, there are a lot of people who do not go to shelters for different reasons. So
there has to be something. I mean, it's very, very frustrating from a standpoint of trying to help solve things to not have resources. So,
was it the city that provided tents? I see a lot of tents. I think those are nice tents.
There's a lot of nonprofit, not even nonprofit, but like
they're the advocates, but they're the it's not the sanctioned stuff. It's kind of like the underground kind of thing, right?
Well, even like Prana or like different people from companies will come and bring things.
Oh, okay.
Cotopaxi, local companies that have overflow. I have a quick question. You said that you're one of the homeless outreach?
Homeless engagement response team.
Okay. So did you guys find out about the shelter opening? Because that's actually a big concern that I would hate when you see people doing we have a house right next to ours that's basically a homeless shelter, which is a knee-jerk, or in some cases emergency. Really, honestly, if somebody were freezing and that was the only place, I'd tell them, hey, that's the only place. It's fine, but sometimes I'm curious how you knew that there was a place available, and if there is a central place where you can just go to know, so that if you do feel like you want to enforce the law, but at the same time trying to be conscious of the fact that maybe there isn't actually a place. How do you guys come? Do you have a resource where you're just like, oh, this tells you all available homeless areas or shelters, or if they're full or not?
Oh, there's a dashboard.
Yeah, you can answer it quickly, Chris, and then we should end the meeting because we're past 7:30.
Yeah. So on SLCW, they do have some capacity numbers for the different shelters.
SLC.
It shows there's a dashboard that shows how many people are in the previous night compared to beds available, right? Is that what you're referring to?
I think so, yeah. They have percentages that list on the dashboard. No specific numbers. Yeah.
What is it again?
SLCgov.com.
Oh, yeah.
SLC.
I'm on all the time. I just don't know what area it's in. Do you know what section it is within that site? I go in there, but sometimes there's so much.
It's a big site.
Yeah. There's like a category, and then there's like a subcategory. It took me a while to even find you guys and your pictures on there. And your pictures there finally.
It is,
yeah.
They just updated it.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for coming. So this is usually at the library, and hopefully next month we'll be at the library. And it's usually just an hour or two. And so sorry that we kept you long, but I think it's important to have a discussion.
We can push it.
If anybody's interested, there's traffic signs right here that you're welcome to take and put in your yard for those of you that have a yard or a parking strip. Yeah. Thanks for
Next
coming.
meeting is the first, right? The
March
Wednesday?
1st.
First Wednesday of every month, and it's in meeting room A downstairs. When you go down the stairs to the library, you turn
It's
left.
just right on the left.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll be there next.
And we'll
Thank
send
you
an
for
email.
organizing it.
Yeah.
Did they said anything about parking? Because I parked.
To the library.
No. Here. Yeah. I parked where it said it was for Oasis games.
Oh, yeah, you're not
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
There's Oasis games.
Oh, you guys.
Browse and then you're leaving.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens.
Next month, parking will be better at the library. You get up to 2 hours free validated parking at the library. So.
Parking, don't we all live in Central City?
I know. I ride my bike. I don't even have a car. It's like, no way, I'm not paying for all that. Thank you, everyone. And come back to the next meeting.